Teddy, picking up where we left off last time regarding the AJ and Andy Ruiz fight, we've come across some news recently regarding the compensation for that fight. Rumored to be Andy Ruiz got $5 million for the fight Saturday and was.
Well, that's pretty much documented that he got $5 million for the fight and Joshua got $20 million.
And that Andy was in the contract, in the rematch clause, called for him to get $10 million for the rematch to be held in London, apparently in December, is what we're hearing. How does that compare, based on your experience, with other big heavyweight title fights and rematches, etc.?
Well, that's just Eddie Hearn being smart. I mean, they didn't think Ruiz. Of course, nobody thought Ruiz would win, but they had to lock in a rematch to protect themselves. They did. That's done all the time in these type fights, and you always get the champion always gets a rematch clause in there to protect them. And what they did was they put in a preset amount so they couldn't negotiate it, so they could control what the amount was. Now, we don't know if it's $10 million for sure. This is what we're hearing, so we're not guaranteeing that it's $10 million, but it is a locked-in amount, whatever that amount is. I'm hearing that it's $10 million or somewhere in that neighborhood. But either way, it's a preordained number, and that, of course, keeps now Ruiz from being able to get maybe what the real market would bear. Because for me, I mean, with 5 seconds of thought for this, I would go up and put that number closer to $30 million. Mm-hmm. Only because, and I'll tell you what I'm using as a thumbnail with that. First of all, you're going to be fighting in London. It's going to be just a ridiculously enormous fight. And the champion got $20 million. Ruiz got $5 million. Now you're only going to give him $10 million after he beat him. I mean, you don't have to graduate MIT. I said it right this time. I've graduated since then. I've gotten better. You don't have to really be a guy that's a mathematician to understand that those numbers are low-ball numbers. But again, it's smart business on her part, whatever those numbers are. But
they also had Ruiz in a difficult spot because you want the title shot for
leverage.
5.
No, you don't have leverage.
Exactly.
But the thing is, what I use as a comparison or an explanation of why $10 million is low. It sounds big, but it's low. Well, again, the rematch is, you took away your ability now, of course, to negotiate what that really, and find out what that worth is. Let's go back to 1992. Tyson gets upset by Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas's next fight with Holyfield is for $20 million. Mm-hmm. That's 27 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think the expense of living has gone up? Don't you think that wages have increased? Maybe a little bit since then. So, again, if you go by that, then it was $20 million there. He's getting $10 million now. Obviously, $30 million that I'm looking at looks like probably somewhere in the ballpark of what the number should be. But again, it's smart business. We don't know exactly. We're just putting some news out there to you guys because we like to keep you informed when we're informed. But it's somewhere in that neighborhood. We don't know exactly, but we do understand why that's going on. And also, we know that Top Rank used to, before I even finished the sentence, Al Heyman rules the roost, right?
Right now he does.
He rules the roost. Okay. He's got the heavyweight champion, baby.
He's got two champions.
Of them. Yeah. He's like Don King in the 80s. I mean, he rules the roost. And Top Rank had Ruiz up until, I think they gave him a release in January.
Yeah, I think he was suffering from depression, might have pulled out of a fight or two, was walking around very heavy.
Yeah.
Let him go with no compensation.
No, they released him.
Unheard of almost.
Well, no, it happens. But it happens when when you don't think there's any value, when you don't think there's any worth. Otherwise, you think there's worth, you get compensation.
That's what I mean. It's unheard of to release a guy who you think has an ounce of potential.
Not if you don't think he's going anywhere, for the reasons you touched on. You touched on some decent reasons to, we're not saying they're dumb. We're just saying that right now I'm sure Aaron right now is very happy for Ruiz.
I'm sure he's just psyched.
I'm sure he probably sent him a congratulatory basket.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Be careful opening that basket, Andy. Open it maybe, slowly. But no, I mean, listen, but we just want to put everything out there so people get as much from this show as they can get as far as boxing insight information. Yeah, Top Rank had him. So the landscape of boxing, which we just said is all Heyman right now in the heavyweight division, could be so different right now. If they didn't release Ruiz, Aaron, Top Rank would be sitting with the 2 top heavyweights in the world right now.
2 of the 3 for sure.
Yeah. Fury and who ESPN signed to a deal with Top Rank, and of course Ruiz. So again, some of those things that happen. It happens. We don't always make the right decision in some of these things, And again, right now, I'm sure that Top Rank is probably just a tiny bit perturbed about that decision.
Well, one other decision that I'm sure people are regretting, at least on the Heyman side, is Wilder committing to that second fight with Fury, because he has the Ortiz fight lined up and Ruiz got to get through the rematch. But let's just for a minute assume Ruiz wins again. They could have made the Wilder-Ruiz...
But it's not committed. It's not signed.
Oh, it's not?
I don't think it's signed.
Oh, I was under the impression it was finalized.
Finalized and signed is, 2 different things. You could be right, I could be wrong, but from what I didn't hear that there was actually signed contracts yet, But maybe that the idea of the fight, was there and agreed to most terms, maybe.
I think they were also trying to take a lot of the smoke away from DAZN by announcing it the day before that the Fury-Wilder rematch was being made, to kind of steal some of their thunder, because it was literally like 24 hours before that fight, and it was all over the news. But if it has
gamesmanship is always part of promotion.
But if it hasn't been made, and let's for a minute assume Ruiz beats him again, I personally, I don't think he will. That's just my opinion, not taking anything away from Andy. But
it could go 2 ways real quick on that. Joshua can get to the right place and perform measurably better at home. He's got a couple of choices. He can stay outside and box, something probably nobody's thinking about. He's the bigger guy. He's supposed to seek and destroy Ruiz. That's what he was supposed to do. Yeah. But he's not made up that way. But he might just be big and with the jab, he might decide to box. And that could be one way to go. Or he did have Ruiz on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that.
That was a beautiful shot, too.
Yeah, so it could go that way. But he'd have to find himself. He'd have to, I'm going to put it real simple. He'd have to decide if this is what he wants to do, if he wants to fight. The way he ended it looked like he didn't want to anymore.
Yeah.
But it could go the other way, too, that no one's talking about. Ruiz could gain from this fight that missing link, that piece that he didn't have, that it all comes together now, the confidence, the belief, the pride, first Mexican-American heavyweight champ, doing what nobody said he had a chance to do. It could change him. And in a manner, and some people say, what do you want to change? He won that way. But I mean, we can always get better.
Yeah.
Some people are going to say it was a fluke because of circumstances. And this could be a situation where it changes them. Or history gives us a lot of examples out there if we look. Or he could go the unfortunate route. And he was a good man, this guy that I'm about to mention. And maybe the biggest upset of all time up into this fight, whichever one you think is bigger. But Buster Douglas, you could go that route too. After he won and he got the fight, he won the heavyweight title, reached the dreams of all kids that lace the gloves on, that they become champion of the world. He became heavyweight champion of the world. His father was a fighter. So it was in the bloodlines there. There was so many reasons for this to be the greatest thing in the world for him. And he gets the $20 million fight against Holyfield, and then he balloons up to 400 pounds.
Yeah.
He doesn't become better. He doesn't go that route where it makes him more consistent in the way that towards the way he fought that night, because he had been inconsistent. That's why he got the fight with Tyson.
Yeah.
And, he didn't get it because they thought he would beat him.
Exactly.
Same thing with Ruiz. There was inconsistencies. There were things that people weren't sure of. And now those things can be healed. Those things those possible holes can be filled by the confidence of winning the title. Or he could go the route that I just said. It's always either way, the possibility. He could go the route of, unfortunately, Douglas went, where, he went up and ballooned up and never had another moment.
I would love to see Andy Ruiz hook up with someone like a Chris Algieri, a nutritionist, and really get focused, get serious. He could, if he wins this rematch, they could make that fight with Wilder easily, and all of a sudden he has a chance now to own every belt.
Yeah, but then he would lose his Snickers contract. So
the Snickers contract shouldn't even be on his radar. He has such bigger fish to fry. Stop with the Snickers, man. You're better than that. To do a deal with like Athletic Greens. Do something like.
Well, listen, we wish him nothing but.
I love him.
Very happy for
I love him.
Just very, very happy.
Very, very.
We just wanted to do a short section here to say hello to you guys.
Yeah.
Give you some stuff.
And to be clear, I'm not trying to be critical of Ruiz. I would love to see him like really get focused and keep doing what he's doing. I'm happy to see him win. Looking forward to the rematch. I'll be curious to see how it plays out, especially with this Wilder Fury rematch, if it's finalized or not.
And you know what? Last thing on this that we brought it up. There could be a disruption. This could be the fly in the ointment. If you get down the road and then all of a sudden you hear some rumblings or some whisperings that they're having trouble putting it together. We're understanding the rematch is supposed to be in December, but if you start hearing, we don't know, but we're just calculating and the possibility of those things from the information that we have, that if they're not happy, if Ruiz's people are not happy, and look, they signed the contract for whatever that preordained number was, but obviously that was before they were champion of the world. Now, if they're looking at it and somebody's in their ear saying, hey, you could get so much more money, who knows if that doesn't disrupt the negotiation for this fight in December. I'm sure it's going to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for that, Teddy.